some fun with Rhett Palmer.
And now, the most trusted name in radio, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves.
We be smoking. Hey, this is the mayor of the airways. How you doing? A lot to talk about today. We have former U.S. diplomat David Hunter in the studio. And if you're looking for us on YouTube, one of our YouTube accounts got suspended for 60 days by the Gestapo. And I'm not exactly sure why. Noah knows why. Why did I get suspended, Noah? COVID misinformation from my nephew. You don't recall what that, do you have a photographic memory? Do you remember? No, either do I. Okay. Now, I'm looking for my glasses, and here they are. So, David, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Rhett.
Okay.
Glad to be here.
Well, it's a slow morning. I'm going to wake up with my I Do cup, which came from my friend David Usher, who's on his way to Florida for the winter. We'll be seeing him, and so I'm going to take my first sip of coffee for the day. Talk roast coffee, the coffee that inspires good conversation. You want some? Send me a private letter and I'll tell you what it costs. Actually, we're thinking about releasing that. I've owned this Talk Roast coffee for quite a while. Yeah. You like that little thing? Talk Roast coffee, the coffee that inspires good conversation.
Right.
Anyway, what's the number one sold commodity in the world? Oil. What's number two?
Hair oil.
Coffee.
Coffee, really.
Isn't that amazing? So how many cups do you drink every day?
Usually about 2 in the morning. Yeah.
All right. So on the home front, Trump took Iowa. Trump also took New Hampshire, and which dismays my friend who's an independent. But 40% of the people in New Hampshire claim to be independent, and this is what the bad news about that is it skews off because you've got Democrats, you've got liberals, and they disdain Trump. So his numbers are probably even greater among the group that I'm, and that is a conservative group. It's wild out there.
Yeah.
But that does affect things internationally too, because we'll see what happens this after this next election. But anyway, right now, Indian Prime Minister Modi dedicates massive new Hindu temple. Now the new Ram Mandir, did I say it right?
Mandir. Yeah.
Mandir temple, dedicated to Hindu god Ram, was built over the ruins of a Muslim mosque built in 1528 under the Mughal Emperor Babur.
Right.
And that mosque called Babri Masjid, Babur's mosque, was destroyed by Hindu religious extremists in 1992. What does this new Hindu temple say about Hindu-Muslim relations in India today? And now I guess the Muslims want reparation?
Well, this is a big development, and it's kind of a big, slow-moving development in India. And relating to India and the Hindus around the world, keep in mind India has 1.4 billion, with a B, people. That's a lot. And about 200 million.
That's a lot.
200 million.
We have, 350 in America?
340? 330.
330,
yeah.
And 1.2 billion. So 3, and 3, that's 3 times what we have here, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of people. And
a lot of people.
And within that, India has, this is something most people don't know, India has 200 million Muslims. 200 million. So, the size, almost 3/4 the size, or 2/3 the size of the United States, are Muslims in India.
Canada's only 30-something million, so it's
anyway,
a whole lot more. Now, wait a second. This gives you credibility. You lived in India. You were a United States diplomat,
right? In
India. You lived there for at least a couple of years.
4 years. Almost 4 years. Yeah.
4 years. You lived there.
Yeah. And the issue, most people don't know much about Hinduism, and a lot of people don't know.
Sort of all-inclusive, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Because this temple that's being built is in honor of Ram, R-A-M, or Rama. In fact, he was written about.
Rama.
Well, he was written about in a what's called a Hindu religious document called the Ramayana. which is the story of Ram. The story of Ram.
I have no idea what that story is. Maybe
Yeah.
you could tell us succinctly
Well-
in a few minutes.
Well, anyway, the within the Ramayana, it defines that Ram's birthplace, or Rama's birthplace, you can use it interchangeably, was on the banks of the Saryu River in a city called Ayodhya. Ayodhya. Now, that's the important word to remember here.
Ayodhya.
Ayodhya is a city or a town, an ancient city or a town.
Sounds like you tickled me or something. Ayodhya.
Ayodhya, yeah. Or maybe that I didn't pay you anything, so I owe you.
I owe you a lot of money.
Yeah.
I owe you a lot of money.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I will pay you on Tuesday for hamburger today.
anyway, the religion, according to the Ramayana, is that their so-called god Ram, who might also be a historical figure. That's the thing. This is going back into, it's like our Greek mythology. You know, we're talking about somebody, if he lived, he would have lived 1,000 years BC or even older than that. So you're getting back into what I call the mist of time. As far as did he live or didn't he live? It's hard to say. There are lots of stories about Ram and his wife Sita, and Sita was kidnapped by a evil demon and taken down to an island off the tip of India, which sounds like Sri Lanka, which is a real country, and that Ram went down to rescue Sita from being kidnapped and brought her back successfully. And that's part of the story of, one, the great love affair. That's part of the attraction of the story, but also his devotion and purity of mind, that he didn't just let her be kidnapped and go off and marry somebody else. He went and devoted himself and made big efforts and went for many, many years of struggle to get her back. Okay, so, and that's a sign of what I call eternal fidelity of man to his wife. So there's lots of stories like that incorporated in this. But the birthplace of Ram was in Ayodhya, and there was allegedly a a Hindu temple or shrine indicating his birthplace.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the Muslims came along under Babur was a Mughal emperor, one of the first Mughal emperors to invade India. One of his generals tore down that, this is the story, that he tore down the Hindu temple honoring Ram and built a mosque, the Babri Masjid Mosque, on top of the site.
Okay, so this is sounding again kind of like the Palestinians and over there, and
Well,
now we got these guys here.
Not the Palestinians. It sounds a lot like what happened with the Muslims in the building of the Golden Dome.
Yeah.
On Temple Mount.
Now prior to the Golden Dome? What was there? I've been to the Golden Dome.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah. No, I haven't.
Okay, I've been to the Golden Dome, and at that point I could walk inside and everything.
Well,
but that was different. That was 1984, 85.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Anyway, there is a tradition of the Muslims when they conquer a country to build their mosques over the holy sites, of the conquered, as a way of showing my religion. My religion is supreme.
Yeah. Now is that called Mount Moriah?
I don't know.
I think it's. Now you need to study. You need to bone up on your biblical history, there, son. Now hold on a second. Hold on a second. Supposedly that mountain, that's where Abraham went to crucify or to sacrifice. Isaac. Let me finish my story here.
Yeah.
You need to jump in. Remember, I know my Bible. All right. So, Isaac. So, there he is acting huffy-puffy this morning there. Another thing I got to tell you, too, I was acting huffy-puffy in my car. And it's a little aside note here. What did I say about...
You said you need to be more humble.
No, it wasn't just the humble.
And forgiveness.
No.
Forgiveness.
It's about pleasantry.
Yeah.
I'm in the car. I'm talking to these ladies in front of me that kind of didn't do what I wanted them to do. And I said, Well, first of all, they couldn't hear me. But I made my car, to me, unpleasant. It was unpleasant to talk unpleasantly to them, even though I'm talking to myself in my car. And I said, and then if somebody else is with you, you're polluting the airways with your unpleasantries. And so I said, above all else, this will be Dignity 127. Rule, I've already named it, Rule 127. Above all things, be pleasant. Because you know what? Otherwise, it's unpleasant for you.
Yeah. That's true.
Anyway, so what were we discussing?
Yeah, so what
we're back now.
What we're talking about is there is a sort of a tradition within the Muslim
to come
Mohammedan.
and take over. So you don't know whether that was the Mount Moriah, because purportedly that's where Abraham was willing to sacrifice Isaac. God intervened with a ram, and they sacrificed the ram, and then purportedly 2,000 years later, God does give up His son, Yeshua Jesus, to die on that very same site where Abraham was willing. God did, in fact, to prove His love to mankind, and so on.
Well, I'm not going to challenge the exact historicity, the historical accuracy of that story of Jesus and Abraham, but I do want to point out the broader trend that is that conquering nations often use their religion as a focal point of showing their supremacy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I'll use another example because I was in Italy back in September. I think I mentioned to you I took a trip to Italy.
Excuse me, just 1 second. I'm getting horrible back pain from this chair, so I'd like to trade it. Could you bring that chair that's in there with you, please? And I'm going to trade you out. Go ahead. Keep talking, please.
All right. So anyway, I took this trip to Italy. And I saw some churches, beautiful churches there, in Tuscany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is. Mr. B-Boy.
It was beautiful churches in Tuscany.
Yeah. Could you make it go higher for me, please?
And the irony was that those churches had Greek and Roman columns on the outsides of the church. Mm-hmm. Now, I was thinking that's an odd construction, and then our guide explained to us, well, what happened is that the Italians took the existing Roman temples. They took the existing Roman temples, and they put, which were open air. They had the columns in open air, and they basically put concrete block or cement walls along the sides and made a church out of the existing temple.
Yeah.
Now, in a way, that's the same thing that the Muslims were doing. This is called, annexing the former less popular religion and turning it into the site of your own religion. So where there were Delphi oracles being sacrificed in the
Delphi oracles.
Well, this is like the Greeks have the Delphi oracles. Anyway, if you were to take various Greek temples or Roman temples, Romans sacrificed and worshiped to Jupiter, the god, the god, and you convert those into a church, that's the same thing. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll use another example, though, of how the Muslims did it in Istanbul, Constantinople.
Noah, would you please turn the air conditioning down to 70? I'm burning up.
Yeah, anyway, Constantinople. Yeah, in Constantinople, there was a church called the church or the Cathedral of Sophia.
Thank you.
Sophia was the wife of she was the empress. Empress Sophia was the wife of the emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire, Constantinople, Eastern Roman Empire. This was about 400 A.D., very far back. She built this magnificent... Very magnificent cathedral.
Very far back, long ago.
Yeah. So she built this magnificent cathedral. Well, guess what? The Ottomans took over Constantinople about 1490. They defeated the Christians.
I'm sorry, when you say Ottoman, I think of the furniture.
Yeah, no, the Ottoman Empire.
The Ottomans came and took over.
It might have
Can you imagine what an animator could do for a cartoon with that?
Well, anyway, so the Ottoman Empire, which is Muslim, took over, and they converted the Sophia Cathedral into a mosque.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after you had Ataturk come along, that was the guy who created modern-day Turkey. Ataturk was considered to be a secular, liberal Muslim, and he
Even
essentially.
back then, they had liberal Muslims.
Yeah, they did. And that was seen as secularism. I want to point this out because we're going to talk quite a lot today about the difference between secularism and religious nationalism. Religious nationalism. And secularism.
Religious nationalism would mean when you made a law that everybody has to be Muslim, everybody has to be Christian, everybody has to be Jewish.
If it's my country and it's Christian, then everybody has to be Christian or get the hell out.
And let it be noted too. Well, with the other thing that's going on, 50% of the population of Israel is, in fact, and we're not talking about Gaza, right there in Jerusalem, etc., is Muslim and well accepted and embraced. Matter of fact, a Muslim was the president. Might be even president now. Who's the president? No, we got the other guy in there now. But there was a guy that was in charge a few years ago, right?
We're going to talk a little bit later on about this issue relating to Israel and the Muslims. Right now, we're talking about the Indians and the Muslims.
Yeah.
And the tradition of what I call if you're a conquering people.
Yeah.
One way of expressing your sign of being the conquered,
the dominant,
the conquering people, is you put your religious stamp over the top of the former religious of the conquered people. That's it.
And you really can't blame man for that because the territorial imperative, you've got two dogs. They start to fight over the female. The inferior dog will eventually acquiesce, exposing its jugular vein. The dominant male will come over. He won't bite, but he'll put his mouth around the neck. Okay, I've won. The inferior one runs off, and the male, of course, procreates with the female, the stronger one.
Yeah. Well,
so this, you can understand this. This is not some like evil-hearted thing. We've conquered this territory. It's called the spoils of war, is it not?
Well, this is the interesting point because countries that have gone back and forth between different conquerors. Many countries. America's a young country. We have not been conquered yet. But keep in mind, many countries around the world have been conquered by various peoples over and over again. The number of conquering rulers is just amazing. If you use the Gaza as an example, because there's actually a history of Gaza going back thousands of years. Gaza has been conquered, and the people that live there have been conquered by probably at least 20 or 25 different kingdoms over the thousands of years. 25 times they've been conquered. Every time you turn around, there's a new guy coming into town saying, "I own the place." You understand? So in India, to go back to this analogy with India. Ram was the successful ruler of India and built this temple and influenced the introduction of Hinduism into the Indian, at that time, 1000 BC or whatever. It goes back older than that. And then along come the Muslims, and they come in supposedly about 1550 in that time frame of Babur, and they conquer the territory, and they build their Muslim mosque on top. Well, the Hindus saw that as an insult. You tore down my, this is a Hindu country. You may be Muslim rulers of my country, but I don't accept that you are my king or my sultan. I am resisting that definition. That's what the Hindus said. So
you can be in charge politically or secularly, but you're not. We don't believe in a belief in nationalism. But don't the Indians have, like they say, like 200 sects, or the Hindus?
Well, there are lots of variations in Hinduism. It's a very complicated religion, and you also
is that the one that has the caste system?
It does.
And if you're born a paper picker, you stay a paper picker your entire life. Okay.
We're going to talk about that because
you lived there for 4 years.
I did, and it's a complicated country, but I'll give you at least a little slice of it so you get a slightly better idea.
Just a little aside here.
Yeah.
When I go to foreign nations, if I were to be honest, and I did, I went to Africa, I went to feed the hungry in Haiti a couple of times.
Right.
Inside, it was scary.
Yeah.
It was particularly scary before I knew Jesus. After I knew Jesus, then I felt comforted because I was going in his name to maybe do some good and feed some hungry people.
Right.
But nonetheless, poverty scares me. So you're living in India, and there's all this clatter and noise in the streets and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I have zero desire to go to India. First of all, what's the spice that's so prevalent and dominant there? The red one, curry.
Curry.
Do the people really smell like curry there because they ingest so much of it?
Well, it certainly is a very prevalent.
Okay, and I understand people are starving, but
dish.
they won't kill the cows because they believe they're the reincarnation of Grandpa or something like that.
Yes, in fact, that's part of what is a big part of the modern day Hinduism push towards Hindu nationalism is, save cows.
So what they do is they really have religious nationalism because it's really screwing things up that people can't eat.
Well, they can eat; they're just not supposed to eat cows. Okay, and of course the Muslims won't eat pigs, so you have that issue too. And what you call a pure Hindu will not eat meat at all. They basically
Now,
disavow
why
meat.
did the Jews? They found the pigs to be unclean, but we found now that if you why we have modern day refrigeration or
Yeah,
has that
I don't.
changed? Or?
Let's not get down that
All
road.
right.
Let's stick on this. This. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's
Okay,
stick
we
on
have a
the
thermometer.
on the.
He doesn't like it when we go down any rabbit hole. He wants to just do his thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You get some feedback from the audience. I've had a couple of people also mention to me that it would be better if you didn't interrupt me quite so often.
You know,
So-
folks, I totally and absolutely agree. I humble myself, please, and I confess I am an interrupter. I hate interrupters. It's why I can't watch Hannity, because they say if you spot it, you got it. I see it in Hannity. I detest Hannity because Hannity's like me. Thank God I didn't get famous. Let him make us $28 million a year.
Yeah.
I don't care. I wouldn't want to be like Hannity
Yeah.
for all the tea in China.
Right.
I'd like to learn to
Okay.
be elegant. So I'm
Okay.
asking your forgiveness, and
Yeah.
I tell you what, we'll do something. We'll have a little bell here. And
Yeah.
when I interrupt you,
Oh,
you
okay.
know.
Okay. All right. That sounds
Okay.
good.
All
That
right.
sounds good. Yeah. No, we want to have a back and forth dialogue, but
Yeah.
but it's just a matter of I want to be able
I
to
know
finish.
you're very reasonable. I'm
finish a few
interrupting you right now.
sentences. Yeah, that's all right. So a little banter is good, but it has to be within bounds.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the topic of this construction of this new temple.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, the Muslims built this temple allegedly about 1550
Mm-hmm.
under the rule of Emperor Babur, the Muslim Mughal emperor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not totally clear whether that is built by Babur or not. There's a debate about that, and it's also not clear whether it was built over the top of an existing Hindu temple.
Babu?
Babu.
Babu.
Babur, B-A-B-U-R.
I like Babu better.
Well, Babur.
Sounds like a cartoon character.
Anyway, Babur.
Barbour.
Babur was was one of the famous Mughal emperors.
Barbour.
Keep in mind, the Mughals, people think about India, and they see the Taj Mahal, and they think, oh, that's Indian. That's not Indian. That's what's called Mughal Indian.
Now,
the-
were your face?
the
No,
Mughals.
I know his face is blocked.
All right.
Move
anyway,
your microphone
okay.
over
Anyway,
here.
let's stick to
Got
the.
these ladies that complain
Rhett,
to me. We
Rhett.
can't see his handsome face.
Who complains about that but doesn't complain about your interrupting?
Yeah. Okay.
They do. They complain about both.
Okay. So let's look at this. The Taj Mahal. You know that the Taj Mahal.
I ain't never been there. Have you?
Yes, I've been there.
How?
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's up in Delhi. In
New Delhi?
A little outside of that.
Is
It's
it
called,
Delhi or
it's
New
called
Delhi?
Agra. It's called Agra,
Agra.
but it's near Delhi. It's
Okay.
it's in that North India area.
Okay.
The Mughals were very prevalent within what was called then the Delhi Sultanate.
Now, it must be a higher caste system because we call moguls in America very successful people, right? He's a mogul.
Well, a Mughal in India was a separate. It wasn't a separate caste because they weren't Hindus. They were Muslims. The Mughals were Muslims,
Were they well-to-do?
and they were invaders, and therefore they were very well-to-do because they took everything the Indians
So
had.
that's where we get the term mogul, and we use it in America
Well, a
today.
mogul
right?
is somebody who steals from the poor and makes themselves filthy rich. That's what a mogul
That's what
is.
happens every day in America, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So if you call yourself a mogul, you shouldn't be proud. You should say basically you're a robber baron. We use the term robber baron in America.
Robber baron.
Robber baron. Yeah. And oh, I'm a baron, but I stole it all from somebody else. So anyway, the Mughals were able to take over India. They built this mosque at some point in time, and the Indians resented that for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And after independence in 1947, 1949, there was a movement to put a new temple over the site of Ram's birth, as they believed it was there,
Mm-hmm.
and to And what happened was at first the Hindus started going into the mosque
Yeah.
and putting up statues of Ram and statues of the Hindu religion inside the mosque. And then finally, about 1985, the courts ruled that the Hindus had the right to worship in the mosque. That was a major breakthrough. And then in 1992, Hindu nationalists destroyed the mosque. They just tore it down. And this is a mosque that had been there for 500 years or 400 years. So it was seen as an expression of rage by the Hindu nationalists that how dare these Muslims come and build a mosque over my temple of my God. Okay? This was so this was the beginning of what I call the Hindu nationalist movement. It had been percolating along low level, but this was a major outright expression, tearing down a historical mosque that had been there for 400 years. And literally, this is the interesting part. Some of the existing...
Move the mic a little this way. Push it this way.
Some of the existing leaders of the...
More.
Some existing leaders of the current government, including Mr. Modi, were involved in that episode of tearing down that mosque. And the next thing they did is they said, well, we want to build a Hindu temple over the top of that mosque. This is very similar, by the way, to what some extremist Jews, Zionist Jews, are proposing, Ben Gvir and some of those guys, for Temple Mount. They would like to tear down Al-Aqsa Mosque, bulldoze it down, this holy site, the Golden Dome, tear it down or whatever, and then build a new third temple on Temple Mount. So
who removed the Jewish temple? Who burned it? And it burned, which is amazing. How can you burn rock? But this actually flammable, right? This rock.
I think that was destroyed during the Roman time, about 70.
So it was the Romans,
70 A.D.
not the Muslims.
Yeah, that was the Romans.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Now, according to biblical scholars, that dome will be gone. In the book of Revelation, speak of the whole the end times, that dome is going to go sooner or later.
We're going to get into biblical scholars later in the program, okay? Because
we need one here then.
Yeah, we will talk a little bit more about that, but let's leave that for later. And I don't want to talk about the rock of the dome of the rock and all that. I just want to use that as an analogy that you can see in India the similar type of thing developing, where you have a Hindu nationalism movement that is replacing one religious symbol of dominance. The mosque was a symbol of dominance, especially if it was built over the Hindu temple of Ram.
Now, the separation of church and state, by the way, was never in the Constitution. It's not there. It's only in a letter that was written by Jefferson.
Okay, we're not talking about American Constitution. Okay.
Now he's getting controlling.
I like that bell. I like that bell.
He leaned over.
Yeah.
Ring my bell.
Okay, so what I want to focus on here is Hindu nationalism in modern day under Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi is the president. Modi is with what's called the BJP party. The Congress BJP. Yeah,
now, we know what BJ means in America. What's a BJP?
I don't know. It's just the name of the party.
Okay, some young people are laughing right now.
Yeah, the BJP party versus what's called the Congress Party of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. You've heard of Rahul Gandhi. I think you actually had Rahul in your studio at some point. I vaguely think you have it on the wall there.
I had Gandhi's
son.
grandson.
That's got Rahul. Yeah,
Oh.
Rahul.
He was
running.
nice.
He is running for president. Keep in mind now the presidency.
The guy that I interviewed.
I think so. Yeah.
He's a lovely human being.
Yeah, I think so.
He didn't come off like a politician at all, though.
Well, he's not a politician actually. And
is he a Hindu?
Well, there's a debate. He's half Hindu and half.
That's
why I say BJP.
Huh?
That's why I say BJP.
Oh, BJ.
Yeah.
How do you know these things? How does he look this up so quickly?
Okay. Anyway,
you really need to be with.
I typed in Google BJP party, and that was what came up.
You deserve to be with some big shot like what's the name? What's the guy down here? Bongino.
Hannity and Cohen. Yeah.
No, forget that.
Okay.
By the way, Combe is gone. Combe was a friend to
I
me.
know.
He was very nice, nice man.
Right.
But Hannity interrupts. He's probably living in town. His manager lives here.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a whole long story.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right. Back to the BJP. The BJP is part of a wider ideology group called the RSS.
It's more inclusive.
RSS is a broader, the father ideology is what they call it, the father ideology.
So it's more inclusive.
Well, it
Or
includes.
is it less religious?
It's actually it's kind of like more religious. It is more religious. It's hard to say whether it's more religious, but here's the doctrine of the RSS regarding Hindu nationalism. Non-Hindu people in Hindustan, that's the way they call India, Hindustan. Hindustan. You got Pakistan, you got Hindustan. Well, Hindustan is the Hindu nation of the religion of Hindu. They can either adopt Hindu culture and languages, respect the Hindu religion, glorify the Hindu race and culture, and in effect cease to be a foreigner, or if they wish to stay in the country and don't accept that, they would live as subordinate to the Hindu nation, claiming nothing, deserving no privileges, not even citizens' rights. Now, that's the doctrine of the RSS, the what you call the father ideology of this Hindu nationalism. If you don't believe in Hinduism, if you don't accept Hinduism, if you don't worship Hinduism, if you don't become a Hindu, then you can stay in our country, but you have second-class citizenship or less, and you have no rights. We'll tell you what you can and can't do, where you can live, where you can't live.
And
now, do you see some similarities there with what's going on with the Palestinians in the Jewish
No, not
state?
at all, because, matter of fact, the 50% of the occupants that are treated fairly, if you ask them, they are Muslims, are treated very fairly in Jerusalem and the rest of Israel.
I challenge your facts. I challenge those facts. I think those facts are incorrect.
Well, they're not.
They're incorrect. The reality is that most of the people that live in the occupied territories, which is 5 million in Gaza and 2 million in 5 million in the West Bank and 2 million in Gaza, and maybe about a.
So are we discussing all this to go back to that today? Is that why you're bringing this all up?
No, we're not bringing it up for that reason. We're bringing it up because this very day, yesterday, was the inauguration of this temple, this Mandir, what's called the Babri Masjid, was converted into the Ram Mandir, the Ram Temple. That happened yesterday.
Extreme religious people are very dangerous. You know, I'm pro-Israel. I'm probably a Zionist, but recently I saw some Christians were walking down the Via Dolorosa. That's the way of suffering. They had a cross, and these Hasidic Jews were coming along, young people, and they started to spit. Now, I thought they were spitting at them. I think you corrected me, or somebody said, well, they're probably spitting on the ground, and that is very well known. In the days of Jesus, even, you mentioned a Samaritan. You go, well, this Samaritan, and then the Samaritans also, well, this Jew, and they'd spit at each other, spit on the ground.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they spit, but I was very disappointed that that was happening, because when I was in Israel, all was very inclusive.
Right. Well, and this is where you got the difference between.
Now, if you go to Jerusalem today, now,
Yeah.
you get off. I get out off the taxi, and I hear, and I go, what? That's weird. What is that? You know?
Yeah,
and they say that 5 times a day, that goes throughout Israel, strictly for the Muslims. There are 5 times they pray every day, right?
They do.
Yeah.
And they have
So
what's called the
why
call,
is that
they have
welcome?
the call to prayer.
That's when I was shocked. I'm in Old Town Jerusalem, and first of all, I thought Jerusalem would be a modern city by now. It's not. They've kept the old city, and I go through the gates, Damascus Gate, I think.
Well, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Al-Aqsa Mosque is on Temple Mount, and it is a mosque, and therefore they do call to prayer at the mosque.
Yeah.
So while you're walking around on Temple Mount, you're hearing a call to prayer.
Well, this wasn't Temple. I was in Jerusalem at the time.
Well, Temple Mount is in Jerusalem. Temple Mount.
I don't know where it was, from whence it was coming, but all I know is it was pervasive.
Okay.
And I was wondering why. I said, I thought the Jews took over this land. What are they allowing these people to be here to dominate everybody with the?
Well, then you see, your thought there is sort of similar to maybe
Zionism.
Well, Zionism may be similar to this Hindu nationalism. Zionism is Jewish nationalism. If you are a Jew, then you have the right to live here. If you are not a Jew, then you can live as a second-class citizen.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
Because even with the Christians, now I am an absolutely persuaded believe Jesus died on the
Yeah,
cross
yeah,
for my
yeah.
sins, rose. Well, yeah, it's very important to me. But I also would not want any Christian sect to be in charge, to be the national religion, because you've got people right on Route 60 and 33rd. They believe if you sing with instruments, you're going to hell. That's what I was told. Then you've got other people that believe if a woman wears makeup, she's going to hell. Oh, the other people believe there's no dancing allowed. Then other people believe there is dancing. Oh, my God, when you get religious people, they get wacky, you know? I mean, no, I don't like, and Jesus didn't like him either.
Yeah.
I
Well.
promise you.
All right.
It was
well,
the religious people that killed Jesus.
Okay. Well,
'Cause
anyway.
we got it down. We know what the rules are, and
Anyway.
you don't, even though you're healing people.
All right. I want to go back to the RSS, which is a religious Hindu philosophy, which is what you just defined as sort of extremists. That when they say that nobody can live in India unless they, or Hindustan as they call it, unless they accept the Hindu religion and the glorification of the Hindu race and culture. You know, this is what I call
I have a secret way you can separate the jerks from the winners. You know what that is?
What?
How they treat women.
Right. Okay.
Now
well,
you do know this though. With the, no, we're not going to put this way. With the Jews,
yeah.
the woman is the center of the household, and if you're a Hasidic Jew, and your wife dies, the children can stay for a couple of months after that. They are taken out. They have to be in a home with the nurturing, loving guidance of a mother until you remarry. The children cannot come back and live with you. Okay.
Okay. I don't.
So it's very revered.
All right. Anyway.
So and you notice that it's the Muslims thinking they can treat women like dogs.
Okay. I don't necessarily want to get into the treatment of women as a topic today. That's. We're not talking about the intricacies of the religion, how
It's
they,
very tough.
whether they drink or
Control
something.
is very touchy subject
look at,
for me, though.
Look at the as you said, the Israelis on Sabbath. You can't walk outside the door, but you can put your rocks in front to do that. You've explained that's an example of
That's in the days of old.
Religious.
They think they could fool God. God said, I mean, not God said, but these prophets said, you can't leave your land on the
I know.
Sabbath.
And-
They'd fill their pockets with pebbles, people, and they'd throw them ahead and then step on each pebble going into town and thought they somehow technically, hey, God, you can't strike
I
me
know.
with lightning because I put the pebbles from the lawn down.
I've heard of modern day extreme Orthodox Jews that won't ride in an elevator because pushing the button constitutes work. Okay, and
Well,
you're not supposed to work on the Sabbath.
Where did I go to church up in Vermont last year? Where did I go to church?
So if you
with
push
the
the button,
Mennonites.
yeah.
And then you've got the other sect that's more
Yeah.
confining is the Amish.
Yeah. Okay.
Lovely people, but all
Okay.
these rules.
Well. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make with the RSS, and you mentioned the caste system. We said we'd talk about the caste system.
Yeah.
Hindus have four levels: the Brahmins, the Kshatriya warriors.
Who's number one? The Brahmins?
The Brahmins, yeah. The Brahmins are the holy class. They're like the priest. You have a priestly class, Brahmins, the Kshatriya, which is the warrior class. Then you have a merchant class, and then you have essentially a worker class.
So in other words, the snoots took over in India a long time ago, and
Yeah.
they made themselves the Brahmins.
Yeah.
And now these people up on the Barrier Island that inherit a lot of money who think they're better than everybody else,
They call
they would
themselves
be
Brahmins.
justified in India. I am better than you. I was born as a Brahmin. You are born a paper picker. You go clean up my house now.
Yeah. Well, they used to actually in the Bostonians, the rich people in Boston that lived on the hill.
Yeah.
They called them the Boston Brahmins. That was the old term for it, and
That's
it was
the hill, and the hill is, in fact,
yeah.
what's the hill?
I don't
name?
know, but it's the
Come
Boston
on.
Boston Brahmins.
I used to hang out there in the 60s
Okay.
protesting and everything.
Okay. Anyway,
Remember Arthur Fiedler?
yeah, there was
The Boston Pops?
So there was a feeling of entitlement. There
Cambridge.
is a feeling of entitlement with the what's called the higher castes, the higher castes, and the lower castes. You have what's called non-scheduled castes, and believe it or not, President Modi comes from the non-scheduled caste, which means he's way down at the bottom of the caste.
And he is now the
category.
president?
And he's now the
How
president.
did that ever happen?
Well, that's a very good question. His father was what they called a teawala, a chaiwala.
Tiwala.
A chaiwala, which is a
chaiwala.
seller of tea on the street. He had a little tea stand. and
Yeah,
he sold
they have those in
Yeah.
Jerusalem.
Yeah, but obviously he's not from high class. He's not from a rich background, okay? Now, but he did embrace this RSS philosophy of Hindu nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, an interesting part of Hindu nationalism that breaks from traditional Hinduism is these people of the RSS mentality. They think that the backward classes
We're missing your face again. You got to move the mic a little bit more. We're going to keep doing this till we get it straight.
The mic's staying. I'll just move my head. The backward classes.
Can we hear him as well with him sitting way back like that?
Yes. The backward.
Yes.
Okay. The backward classes should be made temple priests.
Yeah.
Now, previously, under the old Hindu religion, pay attention, Rhett.
I got him talking to himself.
Rhett, yeah.
We're going to secretly mic that room.
Rhett, we're going to secretly tape your. Anyway, the backward classes were not allowed to even go to temple. Okay, to the temple. They were considered
so it's impossible to get up socially.
To even go into the temple. Even if you claim you're Hindu, you're not allowed to go into the temple as a backward class. Now, Modi, as a backward class president with this religious extremism, Hindu nationalism, one of the things he's doing is he's saying, no, these Hindu deletes, the delete class, which is the bottom of the very bottom.
They will not be deleted.
They will not be deleted. They will be made priests in the temples. And we will abolish the caste system.
I'm all for abolishing the caste system.
Well, but you're not a Hindu nationalist. So what you've got is a really odd combination where a Hindu nationalist is claiming, and Modi is saying the only thing that makes you Hindu is being Hindu. The caste system is
hold
not.
on now. Arun Gandhi, who I interviewed, the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, a lovely man, lovely human being. Now he's running. So
no, I don't think it is Arun. It's not Arun.
Oh.
It's another one of the Gandhi grandsons.
I was going to say I had a big in there.
Yeah,
I could
no,
call
you might.
Hey, we'd like to come and do some shows there. How about we have the government pay for our flight? You know, first class, by the way.
Yeah.
I want to tell you that I'm not running for the presidency.
Well,
no, that's not happening.
The point is that this Hindu nationalism and the creation of this temple over the Babri Masjid mosque as an expression of the power of Hinduism. The new version of Hinduism promoted by Modi. This could be timed. It's interesting. He just did this yesterday, and the elections are coming up in May, presidential elections. So he may be timing this and the whole use of this Hindu nationalism rah-rah that we're going to retake India for Hindus. Take it back for Hindus.
For all Hindus.
We want it for Hindus, yes, but
not the Brahmins.
But not for the Muslims. Those 200 million Muslims that live here, they can live here as second-class citizens without voting rights, or they can get out. Okay? Now, that's sort of the fundamental, the underlying.
This has been going on for eternity, though, right?
No, it hasn't been going on for eternity. It's only been going on since 1947.
Man treating man this way has been going on forever.
Okay. Anyway, if you keep in
mind,
mind,
the names change, the continents may change, but the same crap.
Okay. If you keep in mind that we're talking about a massive section of humanity here, in India alone, and Mr. Modi, who is getting adequate support, he may end up becoming elected again as president, and if he is elected again as president, he's going to continue pushing for this model of what you called a religious nationalist nation. So people living in India that are not Hindus will feel uncomfortable. Even the Christians. You have Christians living in India, and they actually had a piece of land that was given to the Christians, and they built a large statue of Jesus Christ on the land. The Hindu nationalists tore down the statue. This is recently.
They're control freaks.
This is recently in 2020. So they're saying, you are not a Hindu, you can't put up a statue of your God. We put up a statue of our God, but you're in the wrong country if you want to put up a Christian statue. Okay? So
until somebody decides they want a mineral that's abundant in India, and then they'll give all the poor folks guns, and then there'll be a war, and they'll be able to put up their statue. And the benefit to the person who puts up the guns is they get to come in and like robber barons and take all the minerals or whatever it is, right?
Well, I don't know. There are the reality is Hinduism has been a big part of Indian culture for thousands of years. But the question is, and this goes back to what I mentioned about Turkey. Remember, we talked about Mr. The Ataturk, who founded modern-day Turkey, and he founded it based on what was called secularism. Secularism is the opposite of religious nationalism. Religious nationalism is this kind of a, you might say it's glory or you might say it's dirty. Religious nationalism is. Secularism is to say, hey, everybody can play. You may be a little brown boy and you may be a big white blonde guy, but you can all play on the basketball team. Okay, everybody's going to play. That's secularism. Openness for everyone. And
yeah, but then secularism comes along, and then they start making dictates, and they try to anybody who's in charge tries to control.
Well, the
like right now, for instance,
yeah,
we're getting into a place of mayhem. Men should be able to marry men. Oh, well, then they're allowed to marry. Actually, 4 people can marry each other now. What? You can have 1 female and 3 men. I mean, no, marriage is a Christian thing. Go find your own thing. Call it bula bula or whatever. Marriage was created by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Jews and the Christians. So back off. Go take, just like we want to usurp Christmas. Leave Christmas alone. You really want your own, go find your own day. Leave our day alone.
They did. They found Kwanzaa.
I don't even know what that is. It's quasi.
Noah can tell us what Kwanzaa is.
What's Kwanzaa, Noah? He's going to look it up now, or maybe he already knows.
It's some sort of a
QU, right?
No, it's the African day. It's on the calendar for
No,
they
I
celebrate
don't
it
wanna
around the
hear
time
about
of
it.
Christmas.
I don't want to hear about
Anyway,
it.
they did find their own day, and they celebrate that instead.
Yeah, but secularism means
Yeah.
they want to control you too. We're there because secularism is a
well-
religion also
Well,
of a sort. Yep.
I disagree with that. Okay, that's the same thing.
Well, you want to disagree with it because you think you know better, but you don't. Secularism, those people want to control too.
Okay. If we will investigate that at a future time,
Okay.
whether secularism.
So you will give it a wholehearted.
I will give it a wholehearted slug to determine whether secularism is a religion.
I want to ask you this. When I think of you on your computer.
Yeah.
Now, you spend a lot of time at home reading, correct?
Reasonable. Yeah.
But unreasonable amount on the computer?
No, but
No.
I do.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So I'm finding that as you get older and you have immense freedom,
Yeah.
and I'm almost there. I would run.
I'd say you're there.
I would want to commit. If I don't have purpose,
Oh,
I don't want to put this in God's eyes, but I don't really want to die because I like life. But I think boy, if it got bad, I'd commit suicide because I can't imagine what all these men do. For 29 years I've lived in Florida, and I did very well. Every morning after the show, I could have gone golfing every day. I haven't golfed in 5 or 7 years, maybe once. It's these people. I've heard people. She played tennis every day. He played golf. A year later, after they retired, I said, "We're going to go back and get jobs again because we're totally bored with our lives."
Well,
So,
it
so I
depends.
want to know about you. What
Yeah.
do you do now? You play tennis, right?
yeah. I
Okay.
play tennis 3
And-
times a week.
Okay, and your wife left the earth, so you're solo. That's
Right.
that can be their positive sides and very negative sides. But anyway,
Yeah.
so you have a lot of time on your hands, and I'm wondering what do you? Because I know you do a lot of research for our show.
Yeah.
But what do you do with the rest of the time that you don't get bored?
Well, I also, besides this show, I have other things going on. I'm giving several speeches this year.
Oh, at the college?
No, not at the college. At various clubs and groups here in town.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Did you
And-
get that from being on my show?
No,
We had no influence on that whatsoever.
I don't think so. But I keep my self up to date and alerts because of the show and what we're talking about.
Well, what you should do if you're any kind of a loyal person
Yeah.
is everywhere you go, you should say, by the way, you can hear me every Wednesday. You
Yeah.
can go out to the Rhett Palmer podcast anytime, 24/7, hear this,
Yeah,
or you
that's
can
true.
listen to us live.
Yeah.
A lot of people, even the older people, are getting into podcasting.
Yeah.
So there's really no reason for us to be live.
Right.
Is that right, Noah?
Yeah.
No reason to go live anymore?
So anyway, you got to stay alive behind the desk, though. That's important, and have a lively discussion. And that's what we do. We try to have a lively discussion.
Yeah.
So Anyway,
I'd be stupid not to. I don't understand. People get so locked up.
yeah,
It's fun to listen to opposing views because I want to be stretched out.
Yeah.
Even the scriptures say, a wise man loveth correction. It
Yeah.
also says that there's a safety in a multitude of counselors. You want to take a little bit and listen to everybody.
that's right.
before you come up with
And that's one of the things you and I agree on completely, and that is let's get a diversity of views. Let's compare ideas as opposed to being a dogmatic person.
Dogmatic. And I do think that you would agree with me on this. I think, remember I'm writing this book on dignity.
Yeah,
So I believe dignity can change the whole world.
right.
If you were to dignify your wife, you're not considered, women in many parts of the world considered a second-class citizen. Well, I will tell you this about the Jews. They don't treat the females like second-class citizens.
Yeah,
They esteem the mother, is esteemed in the household.
right.
The wife is esteemed and spoken to gently and with reverence and respect.
Yeah,
And you don't see a lot of Jews getting there's not a lot of divorce,
yeah,
as much because of the women. And so too should in every situation, whether Muslim, Christian, whatever it should be, the women, there should be dignity given to everybody.
yeah. I'm in favor of dignity for all, and I'm going to congratulate you. So far this morning, you have not yelled once, so that's a good sign.
He was yelling a few weeks ago. You do remember. He was. I get picked on when I yell, but he yells, it's okay. Hey,
This is playing the victim card, Rhett.
they're playing the victim card. I get a lot of that in my life.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
Anyway,
we're close to break time.
yeah. All right. Well, then we'll.
Can you believe it?
Yeah,
We've
we'll.
gone through an hour already.
And we were only on the first topic, so we're gonna when we come back.
Oy.
When we come back, we'll talk about the Pakistan and Iran fighting in Baluchistan. That's an interesting
All right,
one.
we're going to take a break
Yeah.
and we're going to play some advertisements.
okay.
What do I want to tell the people? Today's broadcast is brought to you by Center for Advanced Eye Care. These doctors are extraordinarily gifted. As I would tell my friends, go to Center for Advanced Eye Care if you want to have doctors that genuinely care. And really, it's all under the tutelage, under the authority of the administration of Dr. Mallon, who's exceptionally gifted and exceptionally dedicated to his patients. Center for Advanced Eye Care.
I know you want to have a beautiful smile. Well, an examination, radiographs, a healthy cleaning would normally be well over $200. Gosh. Right now, for $79, you can call Plains Dental Arts, 231-6004. It's all included for $79. The examination, the radiographs, the healthy cleaning. Okay, call Plains Dental Arts. Make your appointment right now, 772-231-6004. Takes care of gingivitis, takes care of halitosis, gives you a great healthy smile. You get a thorough examination. Plains Dental Arts, just south of the Village Beach Market on A1A. Again, $79 for the examination, radiographs, healthy cleaning, 231-6004. Call now, 772-231-6004.
The Rhett Palmer broadcast is brought to you by Complete Electric Complete Alarm. Get your generator checked now before the next hurricane strikes. Call the good folks at Complete Electric Complete Alarm. You'll be safe and sound when the next hurricane strikes. Call Complete Electric Complete Alarm.
Hello, residents of Indian River County. Recycling is all fun and games with the Solid Waste Disposal District's sorting game designed to test your recycling skills. Build your own digital park and earn rewards by placing material into the correct bins. You can even earn a certificate. To find this cool game, download the Carter's Corner app on your mobile device at Google Play or the Apple App Store, or visit indianriver.gov.
A.E. Stalls Real Estate and Associates is a hometown family company. Josh and Mandy Stalls, along with their two sons, have deep roots in this community. As a boutique brokerage, they are located steps away from Bureau's beachside communities. They have a strong team of realtors, the tools, and experience to guide clients to the closing table. Helping clients feel confident in the buying and selling market is what they do. You can reach them at stallsrealestate.com, Facebook, or 772-800-8305.
Hi, I'm a golf enthusiast, and I love Big Shots Golf on US 1, next to Advanced Eye Care. I was at Big Shots recently and had a great time playing a virtual 18-hole golf course. Big Shots also serves really good food. The mini cheeseburgers are my favorite. I love the ice cream, too. For a fun time, bring your friends and family to Big Shots Golf on US 1.
I know you want to have a beautiful smile. Well, an examination, radiographs, a healthy cleaning would normally be well over $200. Gosh. Right now, for $79, you can call Plains Dental Arts, 231-6004. It's all included for $79. The examination, the radiographs, the healthy cleaning. Okay, call Plains Dental Arts. Make your appointment right now, 772-231-6004. Takes care of gingivitis, takes care of halitosis, gives you a great healthy smile. You get a thorough examination. Plains Dental Arts, just south of the Village Beach Market on A1A. Again, $79 for the examination, radiographs, healthy cleaning, 231-6004. Call now, 772-231-6004.
The Rhett Palmer broadcast is brought to you by Complete Electric Complete Alarm. Get your generator checked now before the next hurricane strikes. Call the good folks at Complete Electric Complete Alarm. You'll be safe and sound when the next hurricane strikes. Call Complete Electric Complete Alarm.
Hello, residents of Indian River County. Recycling is all fun and games with the Solid Waste Disposal District's sorting game designed to test your recycling skills. Build your own digital park and earn rewards by placing material into the correct bins. You can even earn a certificate. To find this cool game, download the Carter's Corner app on your mobile device at Google Play or the Apple App Store, or visit indianriver.gov.
A.E. Stalls Real Estate and Associates is a hometown family company. Josh and Mandy Stalls, along with their two sons, have deep roots in this community. As a boutique brokerage, they are located steps away from Bureau's beachside communities. They have a strong team of realtors, the tools, and experience to guide clients to the closing table. Helping clients feel confident in the buying and selling market is what they do. You can reach them at stallsrealestate.com, Facebook, or 772-800-8305.
Hi, I'm a golf enthusiast, and I love Big Shots Golf on US 1, next to Advanced Eye Care. I was at Big Shots recently and had a great time playing a virtual 18-hole golf course. Big Shots also serves really good food. The mini cheeseburgers are my favorite. I love the ice cream, too. For a fun time, bring your friends and family to Big Shots Golf on US 1.
And I believe we're back. We are back. How you doing, folks? I am Rhett Palmer, and today we're talking with David Hunter, as we do every week. Retired U.S. diplomat to 5 different nations. One of those is India.
Right.
Spent 4 years living in India. You were in Spain.
Right.
How long did you live there?
That was about a year and a half.
When I say the name, you say the amount of years
Year
you were
and a
there.
half.
South Korea.
2 years.
Pakistan.
Year and a half.
Year and a half. There's one left. Hold on.
Ukraine.
Ukraine. How long were you there?
2 years.
My word. I mean, you have an insight that few are given.
Well, it does give you a chance to see and compare cultures. And, it's one thing when you go on a trip for a week or two, like on a vacation. You can learn a lot. And I encourage people to do that. Get out.
I feel as though I've not done my job with you. I tell you why.
Yeah.
Because when we do this live thing,
Yeah.
and all the glibness and the levity or whatever.
Yeah.
But I really should sit down and do it, not here, but record it when I have my mic. And that way I talk less, by the way. When I have the mic, it's hard. You got to bring it back here to interrupt, so I tend to not interrupt as much.
Oh.
And I have hyper focus, so it goes on the other person. It makes for a much better interview. That's why my recorded interviews in the Forever Files are great on the podcast, like with Mike Tyson or presidents or whatever it is. But anyway, but what I want to know is I really want to dig in. I wonder how I could do that. And if you're willing, because you're into this stuff, this political stuff. But if I want to know as an everyman, I want to know, what is it like to wake up to hear the dogs howling. You go to Calcutta and you actually see all these starving people that Mother Teresa wanted to feed.
Yeah.
You know, the fragrance in the air of
Well,
curry.
I'll tell you a little bit of my experience in Pakistan because I was in Islamabad, and this was after 9/11.
Now, this is where? Pakistan.
Islamabad, yeah, Pakistan, the capital of Islamabad.
Did you fear for your life at all there?
Yeah, of course.
Because you're American.
Because I'm an American diplomat, yes. And,
They hate Americans.
I wouldn't say they hate Americans, but there are a percentage of people in there that would be called anti-American. While I was there, for example, I had a armored car and driver, and I had been trained to have what's called counter surveillance to watch for threats. And I noticed when we left the embassy to go to my office, which was outside the embassy, that there was a motorcycle with milk pails hanging from its side that followed us. And I thought, that's a little odd. As we just left the embassy, this milk truck is, this motorcycle whips out right behind us. And then I said to my driver, well, why don't you take a road down here to the left? And we went off to the left, and the milk pail motorcycle followed us. And I said, well, that's a bit odd. He's still following us. Why don't you go off to the right instead of whatever? And the milk pail guy followed us. So every place we turned, this guy was right behind us.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's not a good sign. He might have bombs in his milk pails. That's a known way for attacking vehicles, suicide bombers with the bombs in the milk pails.
Why would they want to blow little old you up just because you're an American?
Yeah, and in some cases, a lot of countries, because I was the commercial attaché, a lot of people in countries have, in Russia, for example, many of those people that are, quote, commercial attachés are actually intelligence.
No, I don't know what commercial attaché mean. I know
that means my portfolio at the embassy was promoting trade and commerce and tech transfer and all that kind of stuff.
So if you're misconstrued as a economic threat to someone's business,
no, it's nothing to do with that. It was that many countries use that as a cover for putting in intelligence operatives. So they might assume, by definition,
that you're CIA.
That I might have been CIA. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that would have made it more likely for them to pick me out in a crowd. So all diplomats, by the way, are under some threat, and all embassies are under some threat. There's
Now,
by
I do want to say,
definition.
you said an armored car.
Yeah.
Now, according to my pastor in town here, who's a white man from South Africa, he said both he and his wife, when they lived in South Africa, both had armored cars.
Yeah, well,
People are
South Africa, depending on which country, of course, that's also even.
South Africa is South Africa.
Oh,
Zimbabwe
you're talking
is
about
separate.
Oh, okay. Well, you meant by the country South Africa.
Zambia, Zaire.
Okay.
I've been to all those places.
Okay, you mean the
Zimbabwe.
country South Africa? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Not southern.
okay. Anyway, there are some threat levels in American government to determine which countries' diplomats should be provided with armored vehicles. Colombia, for example, you had all these shootings down in Colombia, so those people had armored cars. The embassy staff did. In fact, they actually had to vary their routine when they were picked up so that they would not be a predictable pattern for an assailant to try to know when somebody was coming and going, and that they would vary it sometimes an hour.
Did you visit houses of worship when you were in these foreign lands? Are you free to be a Christian in Pakistan?
Well, I'll tell you a story. What happened while I was there, I wasn't in the church, but while I was there in Islamabad, a terrorist came in and threw a hand grenade in the church while a worship ceremony was going on.
You were there or no?
I was not in the service, but I was sitting.
And what happened?
Well, several people were killed and injured.
They were killed.
Yeah. And I remember because I was sitting at a separate area, and the phone started ringing for a lot of these women that were around in the area where I was sitting. And they would listen, and then they raised their hands and screamed and ran out the door. And I thought, well, boy, something's happened. We didn't know what it was. And then a few minutes later, we realized it was a church bombing. Yeah, the experiences in living in a country, you have a much more in-depth understanding of what's going on, and you're, of course, more constantly exposed. I do respect a lot of expats. That's what they call them. Expats are Americans who live in foreign countries because they develop a great deal of knowledge of those countries. And we often worked at the embassies with expats to try to get additional information on what's going on in the country. Just not that they're spying, but just that they know things. The business community, for example, is very plugged in. And I worked with the business community, and so they knew things about what was happening in the country that other people didn't know. But anyway, let's go to the issue. Pakistan and Iran are fighting. They exchange shell fire in an area called Baluchistan. Now, most people in this country, listening to our show included, no matter how well informed they are, they probably don't know much about Baluchistan. Baluchistan is part of Pakistan, but Baluchistan is occupied by a people called Baluch. And the Baluchis claim that they were incorporated into Pakistan when Pakistan was created in 1947 without their permission. So they claim, many of them, it's called a Baluchi independence movement. They say, we never agreed to join Pakistan. When Pakistan was set up and created as a separate Muslim area, we didn't join that. So they have what's an ongoing war of what's called guerrilla resistance in Baluchistan for the last 75 years. And the Pakistanis consider the Baluchis fighting against Pakistan domination over Baluchis to be terrorists. Now, that's an interesting point. If a country decides they want to take over someplace, and then the people that live there say, I don't want you taking me over, by definition, the country can say, well, you're a terrorist. You're nothing but a terrorist because you won't let me take you over. Now, that's an interesting concept. If you're fighting against occupation or against takeover, are you a terrorist? Maybe you don't have a jet plane, but you're still going to fight. And if you're going to fight, does that automatically make you a terrorist? One guy's terrorist is another guy's freedom fighter. Okay, that's an important concept. We tend to toss around terrorism and that definition far too easily. We just defined the Houthis as terrorists. The Houthis are there in Yemen, the guys that are firing the rockets out at the ships that are allegedly carrying Israeli cargo and carrying Israeli passengers. If they are shooting at Israelis, then they must be terrorists. Okay, the argument that I'm making here is that a country should not just use terrorism as an excuse for condemning a resistance. We need to get into the more detailed weeds of understanding, is there a legitimacy in the resistance? And if there is a legitimacy in the resistance, those people are not terrorists. They may use some bad tactics like blowing up people or setting them on fire or something. Those are wrong, but they are maybe desperate tactics.
Well, how about the majority of people on January, 6th, we're not there to create violence. Now, there's a few idiots in every group, but those people that went to were responding
Capitol.
in emotion, huh?
Yeah, they weren't terrorists.
No, but they've been being called terrorists by the far left.
Well, they may have frightened the congressmen and women that were there.
Yeah.
They frightened.
The problem is, this is what happens. The Bible says bad companionship ruins good character. So some of them were there thinking, hey, I want to say, I was too. I was worried that Biden had stolen the election, but it's another thing to go. And I had recently been there. Matter of fact, I had a senator's wife and a congressman's wife take us through the White House and visit the Capitol.
Yeah.
But we had to go through. We went through an underground tunnel. We had to be,
metal detector screening.
Now, before we went, months in advance, had to get research to make sure we're okay by the feds. So these people didn't realize. But then again, you didn't realize that it's against the law. But then you're beholden. So I don't think a lot of these people were terrorists. I said, what do they call them?
Well, there's a difference. An insurrectionist is insurrection. In this case. We don't want to get off on domestic politics too much, but these are important words to know.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a terrorist. A terrorist is somebody who uses terror tactics. They
to
can
create mayhem.
but that is not necessarily their political ideology. They may have a political ideology of I am a freedom fighter trying to free my country from occupation. That I'm using terrorist tactics, but I am actually a freedom fighter. Okay, an insurrectionist is somebody who rises up. That's usually the term used by the ruling power for people that resist. You are in the resistance. Remember that in World War II, they talked about the Greek resistance and the French resistance. As far as the Germans were considered, these people were resisting the Germans' occupation of France. So they were using terrorist tactics, blowing up Germans and all kinds of stuff, shooting them and poisoning them. Those were terror tactics, but they were used by a resistance movement. Now, the Germans, if they had been occupying France for a long time, they would have called that an insurrection, meaning a rising up. That's what insurrection means, a rising up. And normally you don't use insurrection unless
What do you
you
mean, the Germans? The Germans attacked?
The Germans attacked and
subdued.
The Germans attacked and subdued, and they had Vichy France. Vichy France.
Vichy.
Vichy. It was called the Vichy France. Was the name of the German-controlled French government. The Germans had set up their own government run by the French.
Why would they use the French? Why not just to take over? I mean, if you're going to be a dictator, take over completely.
Well, they
wanted to use the administrative skills of the French leaders.
They probably didn't know how to make champagne on their own. They needed to have keep the French around for the food and the champagne. I'm joking. I shouldn't joke, but the reality is, when you take over a country, you don't necessarily eliminate all the people in that country. Okay, that's called genocide, wiping out the people. Normally, you take over a country and you try to make them into subject lands. We've had wars in Europe for centuries.
Forever.
And when people took over, they would swear fidelity to the new king, okay? And if you swore fidelity, you were okay. If not, you might go to the stockade or something like that. So,
now, back then, was a man's word as good as his everything?
Well, not necessarily. In gentlemen, there's a difference. When you talk about that's English, gentlemen had their word was as good. That doesn't mean that everybody had a good word. In fact, that's a different topic. Let me get back to the Pakistan Baluchi issue.
Yeah.
The Baluchis are a ethnic group in Baluchistan, in Pakistan, that said, Pakistan, we don't want to be part of Pakistan. You also have Baluchis living in Iran. Iran is right next door to Pakistan. This is something a lot of people don't know.
Did you go to Iran?
I didn't go to Iran. And I didn't go to Baluchistan because it wasn't considered safe, because there was a Baluch resistance movement and people were getting shot and blown up. And besides, the Pakistanis discouraged diplomats from going over to Baluchistan. But Baluchistan has now, and in Iran, there's a separate called Sistan Baluchistan, which is a lot of Baluchis living over on the border, half and half border of Iran and Pakistan. And so what happened is you saw some fighting going on with so-called terrorists from both sides of the border, and then the governments getting involved, pulling in the governments. So you had Iran and Pakistan shooting at each other. And everybody was afraid, this was about a week ago, everybody's afraid that maybe this is going to evolve into a bigger war between Iran and Pakistan. Those are two pretty heavyweight countries. As I said, Iran's got 80 million people in a big army, and Pakistan has 220 million people in a big army. So that's a big army if they're fighting each other. That could create a new global dimension of conflict. However, that has kind of settled down. And one of the reasons why it has settled down, I think, is China. China has been involved in both countries as a friend of both countries, and is interested in the economic opportunities. There's something called the Gwadar port in Baluchistan, Pakistan. And the Gwadar is a deep water port. And the Chinese have been working with the Pakistanis to build ships and submarines at that port. And there's also a pipeline that is allegedly planned pipeline coming up from Iran through Baluchistan up into an area that would take it into China and possibly spin off and even go into India. A gas pipeline, natural gas pipeline from the Qatar area. You know where Qatar is? Qatar is on the Persian Gulf, and so they're and Iran and
That's
Qatar.
where we got Welcome Back Qatar.
Iran and Qatar together jointly own a huge offshore oil field, and that's being developed. And so Iran is seen as a partner with China and even possibly a partner of India in supplying natural gas, which both countries need. They've got these horrible coal-powered fire plants in both India and China, and pollution is terrible. I've talked about that before on the show.
Yeah.
So natural gas would be a good alternative,
Yeah.
and you can't bring it in by tankers. The LNG tankers are very expensive and can only carry so much. So a pipeline is the way to go. So anyway, I think this thing is quieted down because China has said, "Hey, you guys, you need to stop fighting. We're all going to make money together, okay? And we need the gas, and India needs the gas, and you're not benefiting anybody by carrying on this little squabble, spat." So that's my feeling. I think we'll probably see the end of that partly because of the economics. Okay. So anyway, that's the end of that. We got another couple topics to hit.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead, and this is one that I'm sure you will find interesting.
Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu openly rejects two-state solution to Palestine dispute in direct defiance of U.S. President. He doesn't own. You may give us money you don't own. So is it defiance? I don't know. I mean,
all right.
It's not defiance. Joe Biden is not the president of Israel. In direct opposition of the desires of Joe Biden, maybe, but defiance would say that if Noah defies me, it's because I'm the boss here. He's not. Now, if we're just friends, then it's not. He's not defying me. But anyway, so Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu openly rejected calls for a two-state solution to the ongoing Gaza war. Why is he taking this position? And what should the U.S. do next? Also, they've proposed they have a two-month ceasefire if who I consider the bad guys, Hamas. Do you consider the Hamas bad guys?
Yeah, I consider them bad guys, but
not the Pakistan, not the people.
No,
what am I talking about?
I understand the Hamas, the organization. Anyway,
who are the people? The Palestinians.
Yeah, the Palestinians.
But the Palestinians did, in fact, elect Hamas.
Well,
do you think it was done willingly or under oppression?
We've talked about that before. Hamas came into power in 2005. Actually, earlier than 2005, there was an election of the Palestinians.
Was that after Israel allowed them to have the?
Yeah, this was shortly after.
Because the hope of the world was that the Palestinians were going to have. This was going to be a very affluent country. They were going to, they were going to find oil out there in the sea, and they were going to do this.
I know.
And the Jews actually left the area, leaving their businesses, their farms.
Right. We've talked about that before, and
So there were a lot of people who had goodwill for this to work out.
Yeah.
Probably on both sides.
Yeah, and actually, this all started falling apart. The Oslo Accords were signed in 1993, and they were starting to be implemented in 1995, and then you had the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin, the assassination of the Prime Minister of Israel by a far-right extremist, a settler extremist.
So it was within. So in other words, the country has fallen from within.
The sabotage of the peaceful two-state solution was the assassin himself was quoting biblical Torah scripture and saying, the reason I am killing my prime minister is because of a law in the Torah that says if someone is trying to kill someone, you have the right to kill them to prevent them from killing the other person. That's the argument. In other words,
he wasn't trying to kill anybody.
He was trying, Rabin, according to the thinking of this assassin, and his twisted theological concept, is that Rabin was trying to kill the state of Greater Israel by giving away part of Israel to the Palestinians. That's what he thought. He thought, Rabin is killing the concept of a Zionist state of Judea and Samaria, and therefore I have the right to kill him because he's trying to kill this concept of.
See, you don't you don't have the faith or the knowledge to really talk about this, and the fact that a few years ago they gave up what was gathered in that 67 war. Who was the guy that was in charge? And then the day after he gave it up, he had a stroke and would live for 8 years as in a state of
coma or something,
vegetation.
Yeah,
because he gave away the land. So those of us who believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob believe he shouldn't have given away this land, this Gaza.
Okay, we're gonna get into that as the next topic. Actually, it'll be very interesting. But let's finish up on this issue of whether Prime Minister Netanyahu openly rejected. It's on record. He can watch it on TV. He's basically said, no way, Joe.
Yeah.
The United States has been consistently advocating for a two-state solution.
I thought when they gave it up, that was the two-state solution.
No, it's called occupied territory. You can't have a two-state solution when you're occupying one of the two states. If Israel's occupying the occupied territories, they're not a free country.
So if they're a free country, you know what they're going to do?
They're going to attack Israel. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, damn well right. That's what they've done so far.
Anyway,
a cat doesn't change its stripes.
Now, the fact is they've never had a free state, and therefore you don't know what they're going to do when they have a free state. You don't know that. You're making assumptions. But let me just say this.
They're calling for the annihilation.
Let me just say this.
Of all
there
Jews
certainly is
out of the land.
There certainly is a predisposition under current circumstances where the slaughter of civilians in Gaza and so forth. These Palestinians that live there are not going to be very sympathetic towards Israel. Let's put it that way. If you go out and attack and slaughter people, they're not going to come back and be your friends.
That's right. So that's why Netanyahu is taking the upper hand. I've got the upper hand. No, we're not going to do that.
Well, so essentially what he's doing.
They started it. We're finishing it.
Okay, so what he's taking the position, and it's sort of what you're backing him in this as a Zionist, is you're saying that that there is no solution that will allow for a two-state because the second state would be an enemy of Israel and it would be a threat to Israel.
I would welcome the good Lord above to visit me in a vision, a dream, in the night, whatever, and let me know, or in prayer, what his solution would be to this whole thing. What would God say if he could speak to man and say, this is the better way?
Right. Well, let me just say this.
God's got his hands off of this because he says, I've given you free will.
Let me just say this.
Until Jesus rules forever and ever, and we have a benevolent leader dictatorship.
For those of our audience that aren't Christian Zionists, and we're going to talk about Christian Zionism, which apparently Rhett is part of, in the next topic. But for those who aren't, there is a strong position by the United States and by most of the world, including the European Union, including the United Nations President and others,
I get it.
that a two-state solution is the only way to deal with this. The Palestinians will keep fighting, just like the Baluchis will keep fighting in Baluchistan. The Palestinians will keep fighting until they get what's called fair treatment. And fair treatment does not include living with a boot on your head in a occupied territory where you're frisked every time you walk through the gate. Okay, that's not considered fair treatment. They don't want to live as subhumans in an area that they grew up in and their ancestors grew up in. They want to have equality, justice and equality. That's the alternative to your solution, which is saying that I've made the situation so bad now, the only solution is there's no solution, and whoever has the more power to him. Now, I want to mention, by the way, Netanyahu in his position and your position as what I call a Zionist Christian is not supported even within the Israeli government. There is a Israeli general, Eisenkot, who just recently...
You're talking louder now.
Okay, well, good. I hope everybody can hear me. I'll stand back. There's an Israeli...
Can I read your thing here? Do you want me to read this?
Yeah, no.
So you have people that are against it within the country.
No. Do you
want me to read this number 4?
No, not yet. I want to...
Well, because I've got the sheriff here. He's supposed to be interviewed.
Okay. All right. Well, we can do the number 4 next week if that's the problem.
Well, I would like to do this.
Well, that's going to take a little while.
Yeah. Okay, well, not today, but I'd like to
we'll
do
that
then.
next week then. We'll save
that.
So
we've got the American Christian Zionism Movement, a tool for Israel. It is estimated there are 5 million Christian Zionists in USA. They see the existence of Israel as signal for the end times and as necessary for the second coming of Christ. But is this variation of Christian faith being used as a pro-Israeli political tool by Jewish Zionists to gain increased U.S. support for their ambition of claiming Judaism. No, the Jews don't want me to believe in the Jewish Zionists have not promoted us to believe in Jesus or the one state. No.
Okay.
So no.
All right. Let me make a few clarifications here. You've used this term quoting the Bible, Genesis, and you've used the term God blesses those who bless Israel and the Jewish people.
I don't know this in Genesis, but I do know it's somewhere in the
Anyway,
Bible.
you use that term repeatedly. God will bless those who bless Israel and the Jewish people, and curse those who curse them. Okay?
It does say, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, for I shall bless them that bless thee. Your other thing sounds vaguely familiar. I'm not sure where that is. Find that, and I'll let you know if
Well,
I've been.
actually, I did look for it, and I looked in my own Bible for it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't exist.
Okay. I will bless them that bless thee.
That's
now, that
different.
isn't there.
What the Bible actually says is it's a what you call the
Well, I tell you what.
contract. The
Hey,
contract.
Noah, invite the pastor to come up here, please, quickly. All right?
He may know a bit about this. He may be a Christian Zionist himself or know Christian Zionism. This is an interesting topic. If the pastor wants to join in, that's fine. I'm prepared to go, directly with him on this. Anyway, the concept of the Christian Zionists.
Where is he?
Yeah, he's walking. Okay.
We're on the air with just
Yeah, all
zippity-doo-dah-day, like I call it supposed to be out. Hello?
Okay.
I told him he was wanted. He's moving at a pace.
Okay. He's
Well, then we'll just be
Ambling.
silent here. This
He's
is not the
ambling.
way it's run. When
Okay,
you do
all
things
right,
like
Rhett,
this, you
calm
do
down,
it.
calm
Hey,
down.
come on, sit down.
Hey,
Sit down
you
and
did.
shut up.
Okay.
No, sit
we're-
down and
we're
don't
talking-
shut up.
We're on a very interesting topic. It's called Christian
Yeah,
Zionism.
read this bottom. Read number 4.
You've probably come across them if you're not one yourself. Okay.
Okay, let him read it. Let him read it. Da 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 da. Dee dee ba da da. Jehovah Jireh,
Yeah.
my provider. His grace is sufficient for me.
All right.
Okay, so we're talking about being a Zionist. I don't know. Do you consider yourself a Zionist? I would, if you want to categorize me. I guess I'm a Christian Zionist. Yes, I believe that. Who was the leader? Who was the leader that was over there when they gave away the land the land was conquered in 1967? The Jews got this land. Then this guy came into position. He gave that land away, and then of course, he went the next day. He went into a coma for the next 8 years and then died. You familiar with this guy?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the question we're deciding here?
Anyway,
are you a Christian Zionist?
You know how everything gets defined differently.
introduce
Yeah,
yourself,
definitions
by the way,
of.
on the radio.
Yeah, this is Pastor John Vecchiano.
They all know me, right?
Okay.
No, they don't.
No, not on this show.
Don't start thinking they know you. God will knock you for a loop. Okay, believe me, I know.
No, but this is good. We're talking about a very interesting
How
topic.
you define it, I guess, is what.
Okay.
Well, how would you define it? Let's ask you first.
Because the term Christian nationalist gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about the nationalists. That's where you run America, and we let the Christians
we
run
were
it.
just
and
talking
Then there'll be
earlier-
no makeup allowed on women. There'll be no dancing.
We were
allowed.
just
You know-
talking
you know
earlier
what happens.
about
But Zionism.
about what was called Hindu nationalism, which is what Mr. Modi of India is promoting, which is sort of saying, if you're a Hindu, you're welcome in this country. If you're not a Hindu,
But we want to go
you're
in the
not.
spiritual aspect
Yeah,
right
okay,
here.
all right.
Okay.
Anyway.
So biblically, the Christians want this returned. I mean, we believe that the Dome of the Rock, you've been there, right?
I have not been there yet.
Well, why not? Get over there and get going there. Now, so the Dome of the Rock will be removed before Christ returns. Okay.
And a
So-
temple built.
So do you think that Israel should be giving up land when God decreed that that land belonged to the Jews?
Should they give up their land? No.
No, some of their land. The question is some
Any
of
of
their
their
land.
land.
Any of
Give
their
it
land.
up
For the settlement of Palestinians. In other words, a two-state solution.
Do you want to study this and broach this subject next week?
I mean, it would be nice to, but you're asking my opinion at this point. So, I mean, when you go back and look at Scripture, I mean, how
Unmute the
can we think
pastor. Which one is
somebody
he?
wasn't there prior to, we're talking about Genesis here. We're talking the word Palestinian came around because of the Romans. It was named. They changed the name to
From what?
from Israel or from Jerusalem to make it a negative connotation for these folks.
Well, actually, as we've said on this show before, the original people that were living there were called the Canaanites. They were the descendants of Ham and Canaan. Canaan was the son of Ham, and the children.
Were they all descendants of Abraham?
No, this is a totally different line. They were not Abraham.
Where did Ham come from?
Ham came from Noah. Ham was one of the sons of Noah.
Okay, so Noah was not related to Abraham, you're telling me.
Noah was not related. Abraham is the son of Shem. Shem was another son of Noah. He is the Semitics. The term Semitic comes from the term Shem. And Shem was the son of Noah, who descended, his line through Abraham came down. So they were related but very distantly, all connected to Noah. Anyway, the original inhabitants of the Canaan were Canaanites. And Abraham, as I've said on the show before, he decided, apparently by God's word or instructions, he decided to move from Ur through Haran, which is up near Turkey, down into the Canaan, and he asked for permission of the Canaanites to settle there.
Well, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to broach this subject next week. You and I can even get together. You need to do your homework because he's mostly involved in national politics, right? The domestic, right?
Right.
John?
For the most
That's
part.
your okay.
Okay.
So I'd like you to do a study on this. You and I can even sit down together. Give me your opinion. We can bat it out. Let's not bat out the basics. Let's go to the truth of what the history is.
Right. Anyway,
and find
so
out what's going on.
This is a big. It's a big topic. This whole issue of Netanyahu rejecting the two-state solution also may be tied into what I call this idea of Zionism, that two states doesn't fit.
I'm not Netanyahu right now, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to allow there to be a two-state. We just had to go in there because you voted for these guys, Hamas. They came in, killed our people. They've been doing this and sending rockets over for years. No, the game is over. You didn't show yourself worthy. No, you will be under our dictates. That's it. Because you know what's going to happen? If I am a Palestinian, and you just killed my children, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to plan out vengeance.
Right. And
so you're dumb enough to give me my own country under my own self-leadership?
And they have been killing Palestinians, so there certainly is a lot
of... And the Palestinians have been killing the Jews forever.
Well, anyway, this is a broad topic. I can see, though, that we are out of time for today.
Yeah.
It sounds
we're out of time,
like,
the sheriff's coming in.
Okay.
But listen, so
we'll cover this again next week.
Okay. Do you have an email? Somebody wants to email you?
Yeah. Not on the air.
Well, you should have an email
so
people can contact you.
No, they can contact
Why do you want to isolate yourself?
No, I just don't want to be...
He's an isolationist.
Okay, if you want to send something to David, I'll get to it. He's an isolationist.
Yeah.
So send it to Rhett, R-H-E-T-T, at verosvoice.com. Rhett at verosvoice.com. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Thanks very much.
I know you want to have a beautiful
All right, we're
smile.
talking about
Well,
Zionism.
Examination, radiographs, a healthy cleaning would normally be well over $200. Gosh. Right now, for $79, you can call Plains Dental Arts, 231-6004. It's all included for $79. The examination, the radiographs, the healthy cleaning. Okay, call Plains Dental Arts. Make your appointment right now, 772-231-6004. Takes care of gingivitis, takes care of halitosis, gives you a great healthy smile. You get a thorough examination. Plains Dental Arts, just south of the Village Beach Market on A1A. Again, $79 for the examination, radiographs, healthy cleaning, 231-6004. Call now, 772-231-6004.
Hi, this is Vicki with Vicki Seafood. I deliver to homes in Vero, Fort Pierce, Sebastian, Micco, and Grant. And I'm also at Peterson's Grove every Saturday from 10 to 2:30. So come on out and visit us and check out the beautiful market there. My phone number is 772-473-7883. Again, my phone number is 772-473-7883. I deliver everything from Key West Fisheries chowders to fresh Chilean sea bass to pepper-seared ahi tuna, fresh local beef. You name it, I've got it. And my phone number is 772-473-7883.
They say you sleep a third of your life. So why is shopping for a mattress so important? There's a mattress store on every corner. But when you visit the Mattress Market store, you'll find Steve and his family, in business for 35 years, waiting to help you find the best mattress at the best price to give you the best night's sleep. All the major brands: Serta Perfect Sleeper, Simmons Beauty Rest, Posh and Lavish, Urban Loft Ice, Pure Latex Bliss, I Love My Pillow, Kingsdown, Biscayne Bedding, and many more. US 1 right next to Waves, Mattress Market in Vero Beach, for a good night's sleep and a great deal. Mattress Market.
The Minutemen answered the call during the American Revolution. Now, Minuteman Press answers the call with custom print and design services designed to promote your business like nobody's business. They lead the charge, but never overcharge for great design, print, and promotional materials. Minuteman Press in Vero Beach and now in Port St. Lucie. Ready to answer the call. Google Minuteman Press or visit pslminutemanpress.com.
Hello, residents of Indian River County. Recycling is all fun and games with the Solid Waste Disposal District's sorting game designed to test your recycling skills. Build your own digital park and earn rewards by placing material into the correct bins. You can even earn a certificate. To find this cool game, download the Carter's Corner app on your mobile device at Google Play or the Apple App Store, or visit indianriver.gov.